All right, everybody in the grant ecosystem, you won't believe this, and I would like you to pay attention and tell me what you think. Your honest opinion is what we are seeking in this particular video. Just pay attention and tell us in the comment section what is your honest opinion about this particular VN, which is very important to every one of us. Pay attention.
I want to bring a very important notice, a kind of what I deduce from a message that was sent on the Telegram platform of OSIM. And I want us to please just carry our filters around your faculties, your initiative, your gumption, your IQ. You understand? Just put everything at work right now, because I'm going to be dropping a very sensitive information here, and it's only for those who could grab one or two from what I want to say. I might not say everything, but just follow me. Now, there was a message that was dropped by Lady Rich, and it was now forwarded by OSIM on his own platform, on his own Telegram platform. And the message goes like this: Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am so delighted this morning to announce to all fans in Grant community that beg your pardon, number one, that UAAG is the umbrella of Grant in Nigeria. Number two, that Pioneer, CBN, Senators Grant are all in a top gear to disburse. Then she concluded by saying that my fans, just relax yourself because the food is about to be served. Please put your house in order to avoid stories that touch. And she appended her signature name there as Lady Rich. Now, and then OSIM now forwarded this message on his platform. But after just a short while, he dropped a message. And the message was, I dropped the above update. That's referring to Lady Rich message. He said, I dropped the above update based on items 1 and the last paragraph. Now, what does item 1 say? Let's go back. It said UAAG is the umbrella of Grant in Nigeria. I hope you are saying it right on your screen. So just exactly as it is like that. That's item 1. Then it said I dropped it based on items 1 and the last paragraph. What does the last paragraph say? It says the food is about to be served. Please, I have no idea about Pioneer, CBN slot, and the only subscription I did is UAG. All right, now, having had this, let us break it down carefully and constructively. And I'm going to start by restating the two messages in my own words, then I'll move into a logical dissection of the meanings, the underlining narrative that OSIM is trying to project, and how some recent events could factor into the entire process. Now, restating the messages from the first message of Lady Rich, she addressed our audience very calmly, very warmly. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, setting a tone of a kind of excitement and positive anticipation for the people. Then she makes 3 key statements: that UAAG is the umbrella of Grant in Nigeria. Now, the statement, what it means, it suggests that UAAG is actually positioned as the primary or overarching entity for grants in the country, possibly implying it has authority or coordination power over other grants. Good. Then, secondly, Pioneer, CBN, Senators Grant are all in a top gear to disburse. Now, she is just trying to portray that all of these claims, they are close to releasing their funds. But the Pioneer, CBN, Senators grants, they are all in the top gear to disburse. Then the third part says, my fans, just relax yourself because the food is about to be served. Please put your house in order to avoid stories that touch. Now, this is a kind of metaphorical statement or metaphorical way of saying that the funds are almost ready. So beneficiaries should prepare themselves to avoid disappointment or disqualifications. Then she signs off with her name, Lady Rich. All right. Now, then the OSIM's, that's from the OSIM's perspective. OSIM acknowledges that he shared the above update based on two parts of Lady Rich's statement. The first item, which is UAAG is the umbrella of grants in Nigeria. Then the second was the last paragraph, which says the food is about to be served. Then he made a caveat that says, I have no idea about Pioneer, about CBN slot. The only subscription I did is UAAG. Now, this is an important disclaimer by OSIM. Is trying to distance himself from the parts of Lady Rich's message that mentioned Pioneer and CBN grants, indicating that he is not vouching for them or claiming inside knowledge about any of them. Now, the part 2, that is breaking down the deductions now from a constructive and a kind of accurate reading. This is what I could deduce from the entire stuff. Now, number 1, the core narrative from Lady Rich's message. It appears to be positioning UAG as the lead entity in Nigeria's grant disbursement landscape. Now, she gives the impression that multiple grants like the Pioneer, the CBN, the Senators are coordinated under or connected with UAG's influence. And this is a strong and sweeping claim because it implies that UAG is not just a grant program. It is the central authority, which is the umbrella over other programs, and all major grants mentioned are in advanced stages of disbursement, top gear to disburse, and beneficiaries should prepare for imminent payouts. Now, the core narrative from OSIM's clarification is a follow-up, but it's more courteous, and it seems it is designed to manage expectations by saying that I dropped the above update based on items 1 and the last paragraph. He was explaining that he only intended to echo first the idea that UAAG is the umbrella, then the hopeful tone of the food is about to be served. Then I have no idea about Pioneer, CBN slot. He is explicitly disowning knowledge or endorsement of Pioneer or CBN related grants. And the only subscription I did is UAG. What is he trying to say? He is narrowing the scope of his own involvement and risk, essentially by saying that his focus and commitment are solely to UAG, and any other names in the original post are not his concern or within his personal dealings. Now, this creates a kind of distance between OSIM and the brother. More inclusive claims made by Lady Rich. Now, on the third count charge, why this disclaimer really matters in the light of recent events in the grant community. This clarification is significant because recent misinformation issues, there have been cases of people lumping different grant schemes together, which was leading to confusion, some false hopes, or unrealistic timelines over time. Then the verification challenge is also that a lot of beneficiaries have complained about lack of clear communications from grant coordinators, which has created a lot of distrust in the ecosystem. Then that distance was also important because of the heightened sensitivity that any mention of Pioneer or CBN in the same breath as another grant can quickly escalate some expectations, especially if people believe the grants are linked together. Now, given this backdrop, OSIM appears to be playing safe. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. He appears to really be technical here and is playing safe by publicly clarifying that he is not a source for Pioneer or CBN grant updates, and his commitment and updates are only tied to UAAG. Now, I see this as this reduces the risk of being blamed for him in the case of if Pioneer or CBN grants do not disperse in the expected manner or time frame later on. It reduces the risk for him of being blamed. Now, fourthly speaking, there was the narrative that OSIM is trying to project. I'm saying that there is a narrative that he is trying to project. Now, if we distill the intent of OSIM, there is a picture there, a kind of alignment with positivity. He wants to carry forward the good news, the tone from Lady Rich's post, which is the tone of hope, that of excitement, imminent disbursement, but without taking on the weight of every detail. He carried the good news of Lady Rich, the excitement, the hope, the tone of it, but he is not taking the weight of every detail in that submission. In other words, there was selective endorsement. He was choosing only the parts of the original message that are safe for him to stand behind, which is UAAG as the umbrella, and that matches his belief or understanding. Then food is about to be served, which also matches his own confidence in the progress of UAAG. But there was the strategic distancing. In other words, he was politely detaching himself from the Pioneer grant timelines, the CBN related grants, and any implied coordination between them and UAAG. It's a protective positioning where he's making sure that his audience knows his updates are UAAG focused only. So if all the program stalls or they fails, he isn't seen as misleading anyone. Now, I'm trying to x-ray these things constructively so that we can get some picture there. And fifthly, there was also the possible underlying factors or motives that I saw there why OSIM might be doing this now. First, you talk about damage control. Damage control in the sense that this prevents his name from being associated with grants that he cannot verify. Then there is the issue of protection of reputation, which it kind of maintains a credibility by speaking only on what he knows and that he is part of, which in turn helps beneficiaries understand which updates are authentic to him versus what is simply been forwarded. In other words, expectation management, which avoids inflating hope on matters outside his own jurisdiction or control. Now, I'm trying to bring this to an end now. The interpretation now of this in the light of recent events, when you view this against the recent tensions and high anticipation in the grant community, people are already on edge about when funds will drop for them. In fact, that's the news, that's just the language in their mouth right now. Leave all the stories and rhetorics. When will the fund drop? That's all they're asking. There is a history of fragmented communication where a lot of different leaders or influencers pass different versions of the story, still in this same ecosystem as we know. And some members have accused others of mixing unrelated grants together to ride on the momentum of bigger names. You know what that means. And in that climate, Lady Rich's message could easily be read as UAAG, Pioneer, CBN, senators are all part of one coordinated disbursement event. But Osim's quick clarification is a preemptive strike. Let me say, is a preemptive strike against that misinterpretation. In other words, he is essentially saying, don't put words in my mouth. I'm happy about UAG's progress, but I don't have any information on Pioneer or CBN. So don't attach me to that storyline. That's what it means. Now, finally, if we tie everything together, I think the most accurate and constructive deduction from everything is that there is a highly optimistic broadcast that positions UAAG as the leading force in Nigerians' grants, which implies that multiple high-profile grant schemes are about to pay out simultaneously, and it's urging beneficiaries to be ready. That came from Lady Rich's messages. Then from Osim's message, there was a filtered reshare of that optimism. A filter what he shared, but with a deliberate boundary. He was affirming that UAAG's centrality and imminent payout, while distancing himself from any specific knowledge or endorsement of Pioneer and CBN grants. So the narrative that he is projecting is that he is still encouraging a positive understanding of the community with the food that is about to be served, in a metaphorical statement, of the UAAG, but in a courteous way is limiting his accountability only to UAG, and then in responsibility is trying to avoid adding to the misinformation that is that piles that already circulating. So in one word, this shows Osim as someone trying to balance community morale with information accuracy, a kind of tight trough that has become increasingly important given recent events where unverified information causes rifts and disappointments. I want to rest my case. I don't know whether you could catch one or two from this submission. We have a lot of lacuna in the system, date projected timeline that are shifted over time, even by all of them at different times. But you see, going forward, we can't just expect to get ourselves into more mess while we're in expectation. We should just use our senses, use our gumptions, use our initiative, use our intelligent quotient to be able to know what is good for us and what is not. I rest my case.